this week's session is on delivering projects and portfolios in Microsoft 365. So we've got a high number of attendees this afternoon, or at least people who have shown an interest in this event. So we'll give it a couple more minutes than normal to allow people to move over from the last session. As a result, I'll just go through the up and coming events for iCoTech. So in the next couple of weeks, on the 8th of December, we've got a Power Platform Centre of Excellence webinar. So myself and Toby are going to give an overview of the Power Platform and how you can build your own Centre of Excellence in your organisations, which is something we're looking forward to. And then if you have been to our roundtables, we do a roundtable every month. Myself and Giles Hartwright, as a program director at the Cabinet Office, he is joining me for a Reflect and Evolve session. It's a bit different, it's a bit longer than our normal roundtables. Yeah, that'll be held face to face here in iCoHub actually in January. So we're looking forward to doing that one and taking that roundtable to the next level of maturity. So and value as well. So really looking forward to doing that one. So yeah, thanks for joining this session. Let's jump straight in. So hopefully you can all see my screens, but what I'd like to do is just go through this agenda very quickly. So do the standard introduction to iCoTech services and myself and my background, and then we'll do the top issues when delivering projects, programs and portfolios of change across organizations, in my experience anyway. And then we'll do an overview of the Microsoft 365 tools that are available to anybody using 365 to deliver portfolio management solutions. Bit of a architecture overview integration type conversation as well, and then we'll go on to give you a few demos. So we'll look at some of the tools that are available to you in a very kind of quick overview of those technologies that are available in 365. Cool. So just about me, so pertinent to this conversation, I guess, but my first job was a PSO, a project support officer in the PMO at Dual Cymru Welsh Water many years ago. I say that was my first job, my first real job. And then I went on to Lloyds Bank Group and I was a project manager for Lloyds Bank. And then I started in Babcock International and I was there for 5 years and I was a program manager, portfolio manager, and then, you know, the roles changed as they do when you're in a business for 5 years, your role changes. And I ended up in the last couple of years being the head of projects and governance for one of their divisions, as part of Babcock International Group. And that all was about delivering technology and business change and building a team to do that across the customers of Babcock. I then stepped out of that and I went over to Companies House, and that was iCoTech's first customer really, was Companies House. And there I led the portfolio team, the P3 team, so projects, programs and portfolios of change, and helped initiate their transformational program for Companies House. Again, you know, all things business change, technology change, and all the recruitment activity, building the teams, and you know, building the whole ecosystem of portfolio management at that organization. All right, so that's kind of a bit about me and my background. And then iCoTech has a number of customers, so it's grown since that point when I was at Companies House as our very first customer, to delivering technology and consultancy services to a number of public and private sector organisations here in the UK. So we work with the likes of DEFRA, IPO, ONS, and all those organisations you see on the screen. We also work with some other organisations that are more recent to us. So we work with Legal & General, British Business Bank, which we're really proud to have started working with more recently, and a number of other customers as well. We will get this slide updated soon. But it's just to give you a background of really who we are and who I am and what iCoTech is and who we work with at the moment. But we try to break down what we do into these 4 components. So solutions is really about building these products in Microsoft 365. So we're a Microsoft Gold partner. We don't do anything else other than Microsoft Cloud technologies. But we're building these systems to meet a business objective. And it could be an ideas portal or a grant management system, all the way through to project and portfolio management systems is really what we do as bread and butter. How do I go next? We go products. So we've got a couple of products that are in development at the moment. So we have got a kind of a mini PPM solution called iCoPlan, which is in use across those customers that you saw earlier on. But it's a very kind of more simpler PPM solution. And okay, Vanessa, I think, or this is the challenge with this new Teams. I think there must be a button on your side that allows you to catch up with the presenter. I hope everybody else can see my screen. Lauren, can you see my screen? Yes, yeah. Lauren's nodding at me saying she can see the slide that I'm on. So I think you can actually move forward and back. There we go. No worries, Vanessa. That was a guess because I've not been on the receiving end of one of these new Teams presentations. But if that was the test, then hopefully I've passed. But yeah, so hopefully you're caught up. So yeah, products is about kind of delivering SaaS products to our customers when there's a specific user need. And we have a new product which we're excited to announce in the next couple of weeks, which is a healthcare product, and it's going to help. We're working with a joint venture with another company to deliver a Microsoft technology application in 365 to help avoid patient harm, which we're really excited about. And then service, so this is support. So a lot of our customers need us to be on hand, a service desk function to help fix and iterate on the services and the solutions that we build for them. And then last but not least is consulting. So everything else fits into consulting really, but probably one of the most important things that we do is helping to deliver business change, transformational services, making sure the technology that is being delivered by us or by the partner and customer is landed and embedded in the organization. What that means in terms of applications is that most people, kind of think of Microsoft 365 as the 5 or 6 core applications that we all know and love: Outlook, Teams. But we really specialize in Project for the web, Project Online, Power Apps, Power BI, Dynamics 365, and all those other services on the page there. So yeah, that's hopefully it gives you a bit of a background if you haven't joined one of these before. Oh, another challenge, Nancy. The screen isn't taking up the whole. I think that might be another button on your side. I think that the new Teams presentation mode. I think you can actually maximize it if you wanted to. There's a little button on the 3 dots, Nancy, if you have got that, and that you can do a focus or a full screen from your side. But I'm just going to do another double check that, Lauren, you can see my screen okay? Yeah, cool. So Lauren's joined as a kind of participant on her side just to make sure that it comes through effectively. Yeah, hopefully that's working for you, or most of you, hopefully. Okay, cool. So if we jump into the agenda for this session, and all the topic here is delivering projects and portfolios in 365. So in my view, as you've seen from the start of the slide deck here, I would consider myself a project practitioner, and I really felt like there was, at the start of my journey, and in many organizations that I was walking into, it was really hard to keep on track of all the activity. Whether it's a project, a minor change activity, having everything in one place is really, really difficult. And in many customers and many organizations that I walked into, they were just keeping them on spreadsheets, right? So they were delivering multi-million-pound portfolios, complex programs, and they were just tracking them on Excel spreadsheets. Now, Excel's got its place, and I love it as a tool. Try not to use it all the time, but for tracking projects and for collaborating on these things, it has its limitations, and it's really does have its limitations. Quite difficult to be able to visualize lots of data sets and lots of tables and lots of records of information. So yeah, keeping a track of all the activities and all the different types of activities, or whether it's portfolios, programs, or projects, or BAU activities, or even change requests, all the way down to little nitty-gritty change requests that go to CAB, for example, or a change authority board if you have one in your organization. Just keeping track of all that was a challenge, and something that I saw across a number of different organizations. Project artifacts, so risks, issues, all those kind of records and artifacts that we all track for projects, so lessons, benefits. It was very difficult to be able to keep all these things in one place, in one repository. I remember being asked by a CEO to go and produce a list or a view of all the risks across the portfolio, and it was really, really difficult to do that. I mean, it technically possible, but I've had to gone into 55 different spreadsheets and copy all the risks into one central spreadsheet, or come up with some clever macro to do that. You know, and that's just old world technology in my experience, in my opinion. Having all the risks at one touch of a button in one place is just the way to go, and something that I found was a common problem in delivering projects and programs across organizations that I was involved with. Prioritization, so understanding what projects to do next, so having a view of what your funnel effectively of the project, prioritization, and seeing what's coming and allowing your business to request projects was always a challenge. I always used to focus on change and portfolio management as business led. It was always, because I often worked in IT, it was almost a case of we wanted to put the ownership back onto the business and say, look, you have a strategy, you have an objective, it's business led change. So you need someone to go and put all your project requests into the system, and then we can prioritize them, you know, align them to your strategy, which is again true portfolio management, and do that ROI benefit case, and then select which project to do with the resources and the cost and the investment we've got and the constraints we've got available to us. So yeah, I think that was always a common theme and a common problem, was not really knowing what projects to do next. And still to this day, one of our very latest customers that iCoTech are engaged with now, first problem they have is, you know, we've got a Microsoft form where people just dump their ideas into, and we've got no way of working out what projects we should do next. You know, it's still happening today, literally last week on a first call with a customer. So you know, having a good selection process is really important. All the tasks, so you know, having a disparate and standalone project plans, whether it's in Excel, and actually this has kind of got a bit worse in recent times as 365 has got more flexible and more dynamic and more and there are more options available in 365 for management of tasks. You know, we'd all have seen tasks in Planner, in all these different places. In if you're a project manager, you might be using Microsoft Project, you know, the desktop version. How do we keep a track of all those tasks across the portfolio in one place? And yeah, how do we link those up? You know, I think most people on this call, if you're in a large organization with a lot of change activity going on, you'll recognize that. How do we report on stored data? So in a visual way, that was always a challenge constantly. I remember vividly in Welsh Water, in Linear, down in St. Mellons, I remember like actually creating a pivot table in Excel, and you know, I'd PDF the pivot table, and I remember actually like sticking it up on the wall, and it was basically a portfolio like view of all our risks, and it was on the little pivot pie charts and stuff like that. I remember that vividly 10, 12, 13 years ago, and a number of organizations are still doing it, but you know, that was out of date data. The moment I printed it off, the moment I kind of posted it on the wall, it was out of date, and yeah, it just didn't allow for great portfolio program or project management in my experience. And then evaluating the performance, so KPIs. How are you tracking the value, the you know, performance of a portfolio? What's your portfolio RAG? We all talk about project RAGs, and we talk about them quite, you know, it's red, amber, green, but how do we calculate those in a mathematical way? It's quite hard to do. So and how do you give, even now more recently, is how do you give different resources different views of the portfolio? Because actually to finance, the portfolio performance might be one thing, but to the operations director or the CEO of the business, or the board of the business, you know, the portfolio, the performance of the portfolio it would be differently measured. Yeah. So having all that data in one place and being able to report on that is really key. So yeah, that's just, I could go on for hours on the problems, as we all could, you know, but they're some of the key themes and the key problems I see across portfolio management in industry at the moment, and that really hasn't changed for you know, a decade plus now. So just talking about the technology that's available, obviously there's lots of things you can do to improve and solve all those problems, and technology is only one part of that. So it's really important for me to say that actually this is a technology driven conversation, not a people or a process driven conversation. So whenever we look at stuff within iCoTech, we're talking about the people, the capability, and the processes that we're following, and then the systems alongside that. This conversation, this webinar is much more focused on the systems, and you know, obviously we're able to help in those other areas if you need to. But if you're going to do this yourself and plot this path for yourself and your organization, I'd really encourage you to look at those three pillars there. Okay, cool. So the tools that are available in 365. So this has changed a little bit, but I'll just go through it from left to right if I can. So Excel, it's got its place. It is a great tool. You know, Excel for me is a tool for exporting data into Excel, you know, crunching it, querying it, merging it, appending data tables together, you know, creating some visuals and some pie charts and all that kind of good stuff as a one-off when I'm trying to do some analysis of the data, interrogation of the data. But if you are a resource in an organization and you've got one project on the go, you want to be able to track your activities or your plan, whatever it needs to be. Simple projects, you know, 10, 15, 20, 30 tasks, Excel is really, really good at. And for tracking your list and to do items, whatever else you need to do, Excel is a tool that we can't exclude from this kind of range. The next one up then is To Do. So To Do is something that I don't think is very widely used, in my opinion. I don't see it being used a lot, but To Do is great for like individual tasks. It does have a mobile kind of app that you can download, and it's got email integration as well, so it does link with your tasks in email and Outlook. And I have seen some organizations use some of these features for project management across their organizations. The next step up then in terms of complexity is Planner. So this is a newer product, but it has come on leaps and bounds since it was delivered or released. And yeah, great for a group of people, maybe multiple teams working together and all updating the tasks. So having a task with the checklist items in it. And it's quite graphical if you like that Kanban approach, and you want to drag and drop your kind of tasks from one to the other. Really, really good. And also there's a new, I like my tasks lists in a list view, in a kind of rows of, I don't like it in Kanban, I can't compute in a list item. You can actually use something called tasks by planner as well. So if you use Planner on its own and you want to see those tasks in a list view, you can do that through Teams by adding an app called Tasks by Planner and connecting it to your Planner board, and you can it kind of flips all those cards into a record list, which is like Excel basically. But that's something we do here at iCoTech. But again, you don't really get the idea, the baseline capability, being able to create dependencies and links, and because it's so visual, for me, my opinion, it's not great for managing, 100 tasks. We have got some planner boards that we have overloaded with stuff, and there's probably 150 tasks in there, and it's really, really hard to manage because you can't link them together with dependencies at this point in time anyway. The next one along then is Project Desktop. So some of you, probably most of the project practitioners out there will know and love or hate Microsoft Project Desktop, but that is the standalone version. And a lot of organizations that we work with, we say, what are you using for project planning? Are you using Microsoft Project Online? And they'll say, yes, I'm using Microsoft Project Online. Whereas, in a matter of fact, they're actually using the standalone Project Desktop app. It's not clear what that difference is between Project Desktop and Project Online. And I'll show you that today. But Project Desktop is the standalone MPP file that you can share with whoever you want to. So you've got one version of the project plan. Maybe you're storing it on your desktop, you're storing it on SharePoint, or you're sharing it and you're sending it off via email to a third party. Absolutely brilliant tool. Doesn't look great, doesn't look sexy, does it? It's pretty ugly now and old, but probably, in my opinion, one of the most powerful tools that I've used actually knowing that I only use it for 30-40% of its capability. There's a lot of stuff in Project Desktop that I never used, running programs and projects of large scale and size. I think it's a really, really good tool for when you are baselining, adding resources, and as a standalone product, as a standalone tool, if you want to track your resources, manage your costs and your budgets, and do that as a standalone project plan, maybe you've only got one project on, maybe you've got one project that's quite big, then that tool is great. But when you've got lots of projects, if you're in an organization, you've got literally 30 Microsoft Project Desktop files on their own, stored in SharePoint, it's that's not a great position to be in. That's when you move to Project Online. All right. So Project Online is a SharePoint solution, which I'll show you in a second in the demonstration. And that is an enterprise-wide portfolio management system. So this is managing 300, 400 projects, could be 50, doesn't really matter, but it's large-scale portfolios of change. It has some things in there out of the box, like portfolio prioritization. So it allows you to do some prioritization metrics. What projects should I do next based on its ROI or other factors. You have an enterprise resource pool, so you can link it in with other systems, but you can build a standalone enterprise resource pool, and you can put generic resources, cables, computers, assets, desktops, whatever it needs to be, people, BAs, solution architects, whatever it needs to be. And you could do costs association to that as well. So, and it integrates with Project Desktop. So when you open the Project Online project, it can download the file temporarily onto your device, the Microsoft Project file, and then you can start interacting with that and publish it and check it back into Project Online, almost as a reporting server, a type concept. And yeah, it's got all those controls. So if you've got 3 or 4 people maybe manipulating a project plan in Microsoft Project, and you're getting to the point where you come in one morning and the dependencies have moved to the right, everything's got a bit messed up in your project plan because somebody's been in there last night, perhaps just fiddling and moving dependencies around, and you got that level of frustration. Then Project Online is definitely the right way of controlling and version controlling those type of things, because it's got all those controls and processes in place. The one on the right side then, so the last but definitely not least, and the most exciting actually from our perspective, is Project for the Web. So Project for the Web is like Planner on steroids, really. it's like the next best thing from Microsoft, and I believe, although not kind of publicized yet, but I believe that Project for the Web will take over Project Desktop at some point in the future. All the capability that's in Microsoft Project will be available in Project for the Web in the next 2, 3, 4 years time. Yeah, the rate of change in this technology is exponential. Even I come on to demonstrations sometimes and I'm finding new buttons that weren't there last week when I'm using it in anger in iCoTech. So, but the benefit of it is it's a cloud-based tool, just like Planner. So it's in 365. You don't have to download a file. It's not SharePoint based, so it's modern technology. And you've got custom configurations as well. So, and I'll show you that in the demo, how you can put Power Apps around the outside of Project for the Web and build your own PPM solution. So if you've got technical capability in delivering or building Power Apps, you can extend the capability of Project for the Web. So if you go on to project.microsoft.com, I think that's right, project.microsoft.com. Yeah, and if you've got the license, you'll be able to land on Project for the Web. You might think that it's pretty basic. You might think that actually I can't do stuff in here. I can't kind of track my risks or my issues. I can't see all my statuses of projects. Well, that's where the Power Platform comes in, and that's what you can build or procure from iCoTech or any partner to deliver for you. So. Yeah, that's really the range of tools. Hopefully that's made sense. And yeah, later on I'll show you Project Online and Project for the Web, but we'll just deep dive into a couple of those now. I forgot to say that at the start of the call, if you've got any questions, any thoughts, just any how-to or what would you do in this situation, then please do use the meeting chat. Just pop a question in there, and I'll do my best to answer that question. I love a good question, so if I don't know the answer, I'll go away and find it, but yeah, please do feel free to use that. So Planner, just as a recap, really, Planner is, actually I wrote this slide a while ago, this one specifically, but most of you will probably have used Planner, right? But also some of the good things that are available on Planner is the tablet and the mobile app. So I've got Planner on my phone. It's great for when you're on the train and you're just thinking of ideas or priorities, and you can actually use the Planner app to put those cards into Planner, and then when you get back to work, it's all available in that cloud service. So, and you can do some interesting reporting as well in Planner if you didn't know. So you can go to the charts page and you can start seeing how many cards are open, how many are assigned to which bucket or which owner, and there's some really interesting and good developments in that in Planner as a product in the future. All right, and it's being worked on very heavily from Microsoft perspective. Project Professional. So this is the project desktop solution I was talking about, and this image is to show that you can manage projects in an agile way in Microsoft Project. A lot of people I speak to are going, you can't manage agile projects in Project. It's like, you can. You just got to set it up correctly. You've got to add your sprints in. You've got to change your views, and it's an example of where Microsoft Project Desktop is a really powerful product that I don't think many people use it to its full potential, and I can understand why. It is so powerful sometimes that it's kind of daunting, and also if you want a Kanban type view, you're naturally going to go to Planner, aren't you? But hey, I think if you want to manage a bigger project, Microsoft Project Desktop is definitely the right solution to go and utilize. The next one along is Project Online. Again, I'm going to demo this, but just very quickly. So I talked about it being an enterprise-wide portfolio management solution. It's really, really powerful. It's all about planning, prioritization, and the management of projects, programs, and portfolios of change. So it's got that hierarchy in it. And it's all within Microsoft 365. So this is an outside your 365 tenant. This is in your SharePoint site collection. So it's got all the governance, all the AD, or the security, single sign-on, all that kind of good stuff in there as well. But I'll deep dive that in a few moments' time. And then Project for the Web. This is the newest, latest and greatest planning feature or planning tool from Microsoft. And it's, as you can see here, it's all about drag and drop, all those kind of more interactive user interfaces that are more aesthetically pleasing and easier to use. And as I said, you can build Power Apps on the outside of that to kind of build your custom solution that meets your needs. Yeah. Duplicate slide, apologies. So any questions on that at all? If anybody's got any questions, please feel free to put them into the meeting chat. Oh God, Pepsi raspberry just expecting Pepsi Max, but it's raspberry. Anyways, moving on. So architecture. So this is really important. Hopefully you're still following it. It makes sense and it's useful. This diagram I've kind of stolen and put together from different component parts that we use here at iCoTech. But this is really to show that if I use my pointer or the cursor, you've got effectively Project Online here, and it's a desktop client, but it connects to Project Online as a SharePoint service. And this connection is seamless. It's clicking a box, it opens up a Microsoft Project file. You can edit that file and then press publish, and it goes back up to the reporting server, and you're publishing every single task line in your schedule is being pushed back into the database. So you can do some great things with that. You can use the Microsoft desktop client to do standalone projects, which is what most of organizations that we start talking to, they're using them just for standard projects. Their file, save as, put in SharePoint, and then they send the link of that file off to somebody else to go and open it. The problem is you all have to have the standalone licenses, and you're all looking at one standalone version of the document, and you've got limitations in that space. As I said, Project Online is based on SharePoint. So when I come to show you some of the risks and the issue tracking, it is SharePoint, a SharePoint list. But yeah, that's the kind of architecture, the technology it's using there to manage those project artifacts. In the middle here is Project for the Web. So that's a new Power Platform based technology that is, it's like Planner plus. All right, and you can do things like create roadmaps with that as well if you want to. They're all in the same kind of family, so you can share data. Well, we've got products that we've built and customers that have Project Online for their major change, like big ERP programs or multi-million-pound investments, and then they've got Project for the Web for their smaller, minor work activities, and they want to see them all in one place. Well, the brilliance is they're all in the same family, so we can connect them all together and use Power BI to visualize all that data in one place. So it give me all the risk across all the projects, whether they're in project online or project for the web, or something else potentially. The benefit of these two technologies here, project for the web and roadmap, is that, as I say, it's on the Power Apps technology, so we can build custom applications around the outside, which I'll stop waffling and I'll show you in a minute. But just another way of looking at it is project is available, project for the web, in the Power Platform. You've got all these technologies, the common data service, which is now called the Dataverse. You've got the AI builders, so we could do, kind of automated robotic process automation on risks. So if you wanted to say that risk isn't a risk because you haven't put enough words in the box, that kind of stuff on a simple example, we can do all that kind of logic in that technology. And you've got data connectors as well. So using Power Automate, we connect to Oracle, SAP for invoices to say, for example, this task or this milestone is complete. This milestone needs payment. Therefore it's going to go off to SAP, create the requisition or invoice or whatever it needs to be. And that gets off and paid, and therefore you've got accurate portfolio data in your Power BI dashboards. But the level of integration is quite impressive. I really like we like to have customers that are using things like ServiceNow, so we're doing some integration with that at the moment. Oracle, Jira, obviously Dynamics 365, and all those other technology services. Okay, so I'm just gonna stop presenting. I'm actually gonna just start showing you some of the technologies. So the first one I'm going to show you is Project Online, because it's the kind of the more mature product. It's been in the market for longer, and hopefully you can see my screen. So Project Online is, as I say, SharePoint product. So it looks and feels like SharePoint. You have to enable it in a site collection. So if you need any help with that, just drop us an email and we can help enable Project for you. The challenge with Project Online is it doesn't come out of the box. It doesn't really have a predefined product set, so it does need a bit of configuration to set it up. But this is Project Home, so I call this a signpost page. This is if you're an infrequent user, you just want to show this to your CTO or CEO or whatever. He or she wants to land on this page and say, "Oh, I want to see all the tasks that are in the system, all the projects that are in the system," and you can surface and change these tiles to meet your specific requirement. So I'm going to go into the project set, into what I call level 1, really, because this is where most people will land if you're a project practitioner. And the idea is here that each of these rows is a project. All right, so and you're able then to come up here and you can see the ribbon. This ribbon here is like it is a SharePoint ribbon, isn't it? If you're used to using SharePoint lists and environments, etc. But you could change the views, so we can get a summary list of all the projects. We could do your earned value analysis if you're into that. You could do your tracking view and your work view as well. So it's just, this is a very basic demo. Apologies, it's a bit more basic. I'd like to show you something a bit more funky with all the rags and stuff. But as a quick start of 10, I think hopefully we'll get through it. But the idea is these are programs, and then the projects will link underneath them as well. So what you can do is if you click this button here, this will open the enterprise project, the actual Microsoft project desktop file on my device, and then I would be able to interact with that project and publish it back into the reporting server. All right, so there's no file save as, there's no kind of where is it in that SharePoint repository. It's just that project it's got a plan that sits within it. All right. The only limitation, which is rather comical, is that if you're running a 64-bit machine, which I am, which is the new Surface, my project doesn't work on that. But that's just one in a million. So, but yeah, it's a really great tool for most people who are using Windows devices. So we click on the project, and I call this level 2. So the next level now. So I'm going into the project itself, and you can see here I've got a set of forms that I'm filling out, and these are effectively the forms that you can create. You could put the sponsor, the kind of any other information. And we've got customers that these pages are comprehensive. There are lots of different web parts in here, lots of different forms, lots of questions, return on investment, all those kind of things. One of the out of the box features is that strategic drivers are able to be prioritized, but this typically won't work in this demo environment. But the idea is you've got 5 questions you can ask and answer, and then it will give you a score in your prioritization engine at the end of the kind of planning exercise or whatever it might be. So you're saying, how does this project kind of contribute to your objective 1, which might be to reduce operational expenditure? How does this project contribute to another strategic objective? And then you can weight those answers and come up with a numerical score for your project, which is all part of the prioritization engine in this technology. So this is the schedule. So this is actually a Microsoft project kind of schedule. It's just being shown in the web browser version. So you can edit this schedule, and you've got all the columns available that are in Microsoft Project. You can add them into these views. The great thing about this view here is that if you've got project managers that aren't project managers, if you know what I mean, you've got people who are assigned the project manager role, but they're not trained practitioners in project, and that's not their full-time job, then you're able to kind of dumb down the view here and to keep a simple set of kind of schedules and views, and it's just not so overwhelming, because the challenge, quite rightly so, with Project Desktop is that when you open it, you've got all these columns. It's a bit overpowering and it's hard to really use, and you could put some people off. So if you've got, you want to create a project with 6 tasks in it as a standard template, and then just get your project managers updating these 6 tasks, and you can do that in here. You can almost predefine these views. There's a lot more aesthetically pleasing. This schedule page has a series of views as well, so you can see all these views that come with it. So you could do kind of give me all the resources, what cost is attributed to the project, what's the remaining cost, what's the remaining budget. You can do assignments. So if you've got assignments are lower level than tasks in this case, and you can go crazy with all these views. And the PMO at the center of the team, the central PMO function that administrate this, would be able to go and create these views for you. So it is really up to each of the customers that we work with have different views on these pages. There's no one size fits all. The other thing you could do as well is you can apply filters. So you could do a custom filter. So if you've got tasks, you can build filters into these views, and then you could do the grouping and collections as well. All right, so grouping and organizing that data. You could do that on a task basis, but you can also do that on a project basis as well. All right. There is a third level, but I'm trying not to go into too much detail today, and I don't want to prepare for this because I want to show you the next technology, which is the exciting stuff. So I just want to give you a whistle-stop tour of this. But you can go onto a project site here. You can see it's not set up in this demo environment, but you can create a page like a SharePoint site, and that's where you track all your risks and your issues and your actions and decisions, and you can create all your artifacts in that system. But as I say, I kind of want to move on to the project for the web technology, because that's just more it's just more the modern technology, really. But last but not least, you've got approvals here as well. So you've got complex timesheet and approval systems where you can ask for time to be booked against project tasks, and then you can set up rules that mean the project manager gets to approve that time over the timesheet, the timesheet owner. So we use it at iCoTech for our billing, etc. And it is complex and really powerful. And it is actually a really good little feature in there to be able to go and do that. And then you've got your resources as well. So this is a very simple resource center at the moment, but you can imagine most of our customers have got 300 odd resources, all grouped by role, timesheet manager, whether they're part-time, full-time, what their ID is, or kind of what their skill sets are. It's crazy the kind of stuff that you can put in there should you wish. All right. I am going to pause there. Is there any questions at all? Please, if you've got any questions, then just use the meeting chat. I can jump into hopefully answering any questions that you have. So we're going to move on now to the third kind of product in that, the last product in that slide earlier on that I showed you, which was project for the web. And one of the things to kind of understand, I guess, is that project for the web is simply this. So if you went to project.microsoft.com, you can go in here and you can actually click on your project, and you can typical. You can see these projects and create these schedules in these views basically, but it's quite basic. It's quite simple. What we mean by the Power Platform on the outside of that is that we're able to kind of add these entities into the system, so we can track new project requests. All right. So this is a kind of one we did a couple of weeks ago, and this is now using the Power Platform connected with Microsoft Project for the web to manage your portfolio of projects. And the reason I want to focus on this technology is because of its flexibility, its scale. Realistically, you can do anything in this technology. Whatever artifacts you're managing or want to track, you can do that in this technology. So this is the kind of request process. You've got a project. You might want to say this is requested by a certain user. It's got a certain sponsor. I think there's here we go. It's got a high priority. Maybe it's just a gut feeling for now. You can do certain things like, how much alignment has it got to the strategy? Is it going to lower cost? Is it going to improve retention? And what's the risk to this to doing this project? And here's a simple example of a score, a numerical score of the project. So my project's now gone to a 68 score project based on the logic that sits behind this. Not saying that that's how any of our customers use it. They obviously have their own prioritization metric and matrix that they use. Some of the stuff here is the kind of ROI. So how much is the project going to cost? What's the benefit? This hopefully is going to have a really, really bad ROI. You can almost set this rule up so you can do more comprehensive stuff, like actually give me your plan, give me your kind of your benefits and all that kind of stuff if you want to at the top here. That's how you submit all your requests into the system. All right, and then you're able to kind of look at all the active project requests and decide whether you want to move them on or you want to decline them. All right, so you can see the prioritization scores come through here. The ROI takes a couple of minutes to update because a little workflow in the background. So this is your requests coming in through your funnel, and you can imagine, most of the customers will have, say 300 ideas in here, which they're prioritizing, filtering, understanding, what kind of status they are in. The next thing that we do is we can track, in this example, tracking portfolios. So you've got a marketing portfolio, a sales portfolio, a technical support portfolio. You're able then to categorize all your programs into portfolios and create these relationships. So in the future, when you want to see all the programs that relate, if they did to the technical portfolio, you could see them in this view here. All right, so and even if you've got a portfolio manager, Adele is the portfolio manager here and a portfolio sponsor, you can add these artifacts, these attributes to these pages. All right. In some of our customers, we get the kind of requirement of, I want to be able to see all the risks that are escalated to me and all the risks that come up through the system, and this is how we've done that. As a simple example, really. So you can either track your portfolio risks here, or you can see that risks are escalated up to the portfolio, and so on and so forth. We keep this really blank. It's just to show you like the basics and the art of the possible, really. Programs. A bit more detail in programs. So a program has a business process flow, which you could take the project, you could take the program through that business process, and you've got things like work packages. If we're breaking things down into work packages, and finances as well. So we've got a program budget here. We've got all the project finances that sit within it, and we're rolling up all the spend from each of the projects in the system. There's a view here that gives you your KPIs. So remember earlier I was saying that having the inability to see your KPI of your project or your program, here we're able to build these little icons in here, and be able to show these as this is a red or green KPI, and that's all customizable. And then we're able to create status reports. So before, many years ago, I remember kind of creating a status report in PowerPoint. So I'd actually take my Excel spreadsheet that had all my risks in it, take my Microsoft standalone project plan, and I would build that all into one place. And I would PDF that document and send it out to the project sponsor. Right now, the idea is you're able to create a program status report as a record, and we're able to do some great things with that. Then there's a baselining and being able to say that actually the program is red today. And so on and so forth. All right. Bad status report, world's worst status report. But again, you could put some governance around that to say you need to fill in this form, you need to tell me what the next actions are, link them up. You need to be able to build that kind of process and that logic and that governance into the status report. This is where we're linking projects. We're saying these are all the projects that are linked to this program. So no longer am I going to Excel and just filtering them or doing a lookup. They're just in here. They've all got the unique ID, you know which stage they're in, you know what the RAG status is, so on and so forth, and then all the risks that are associated to all this project, this program, all the projects within them. So these are the ones that are escalated. I need to go and do something with this one, and these are all the kind of program level risks that I need to go manage as well. I'm not going to show you every single kind of part of the system because I could be here for hours, but just to show you that this technology is available in 365 to allow you to manage comprehensively a set of portfolios, programs, your funnel coming through the front end as well. And all the projects as well in the system. So you can see here, this project has a life cycle. This is an agile project, but we can change the process if we need to a waterfall project. And you can set certain controls at each stage in the journey as well. So you can say actually your business case has got to be approved before you're allowed to go on to the next stage. You could put some control and some logic into that as well. So again, 10, 12 years ago, I remember gate checklists, and there were Excel spreadsheets that I'd sit in front of the program manager and I'd say, John, have you done your PID? Have you done have you got your approval? Have you got your commercial signed off? And I'd be yes. And then, okay, well, now you're allowed to go to the next stage. And he'd be like, oh, thanks, Joel. Thanks for letting me go to the next stage of my program. But now you're able to do that digitally and almost automate all those processes and get actual approval from your procurement, or double check that the PO exists in SAP, for example, before it actually allows you to move forward to the next stage in the process. All right. And all these artifacts are totally customizable. So we've got milestones here, we've got work packages, individual project finances. So all that rolls up to the top level in the program. The ideation of status reports again, so being able to create a project status as opposed to a program status. So instead of doing an Excel or a Word document or a PowerPoint document every Friday or every week or whatever it is to your program sponsor, project sponsor, you actually just create a little record in here that says this is my status report, and then we're able to just see the status of the project and the trend of the RAGs, for example, over time. The simple things, the raids, the actions, the decisions, the issues, the risks, all those things, the benefits, the lessons, they're all kind of repositories and items and records we can add to each project, and then we can see all the benefits across the portfolio really, really easily. We could track, or if we wanted to cache them in or put a value to them, we could do that all in here. All the lessons, all the CRs, change requests, they're all available. No need to kind of go to Excel and go copy paste, give it to me in this view. It's all in the central repository. The thing that I know that might not, well, won't work because I haven't got the license in this one, but it's Power BI. We can plug Power BI into this and create those Power BI dashboards to be able to visualize this information and show you the kind of the data in a nice user-friendly way. And then we're able to see all the statuses of the projects as well. So customize these to your heart's content, really. All right. So that's probably it for now in terms of showing you the kind of the technologies. Hopefully you've seen a few different technologies in Microsoft 365 that you can use to deliver your programs, portfolios and projects. Are there any questions at all on the call? If you have got a question, you can raise your hand or use the meeting chat, and I'll answer any questions that you have. If you do want to kind of see some more detail, then please do email us at info@icotechservices.co.uk or connect with me on LinkedIn. More than happy to jump on a call for half an hour and just show you this technology in more detail. But there's no questions at the moment, so hopefully I've answered everything and made it clear. Hopefully I haven't gone too fast. But yeah, there's lots of these webinars available on our YouTube channel as well. So this is recorded and will be available on our YouTube channel in the next couple of weeks. But if you haven't done so already, if you want to, please do subscribe to LinkedIn, to us on YouTube, and we've got lots of information on there. So please do subscribe to us. And then LinkedIn, we're on Twitter as well, so you can follow us on those pages and those platforms. But as I say, if you've got any questions or you want some further information or some further help and support on this stuff, email us at info@iCoTechservices.co.uk. Thanks, Kirsty, for your comment. Much appreciated. Glad it was useful. So cool. Does offer some paid sessions to deep dive into some of those tools. So yeah, we do lots of sessions, Herv, with lots of organisations across the country, and yeah, we're more than happy to kind of almost do any demonstrations that you need. We have some major public sector organisations that we've done specific workshops for and specific product demonstrations to make people aware of this technology that they're in most cases already paying for. So yeah, if you've got, as I said, any kind of requirements, just drop us an email, Herv, at info@iCoTechservices.co.uk. And as Lauren has put in the chat window, there's our YouTube channel. So yeah, I'd love to get to over 200 subscribers before Christmas. Fingers crossed, Lauren, we could do that. But yeah, thank you very much for your time today, everybody. I really do hope you found that useful. Thank you for the feedback, and yeah, have a great time this week, and we'll catch up soon. Cheers, guys.